You are listening to a Monster Kid podcast.
Why don't we rent a video tonight?
Yeah, can we please?
On a weeknight?
Yeah, come on, Mom. It's okay.
Sure. Come on. Let's throw caution to the wind.
Put a little weekend in your week. Rent a video.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vericon Video, a sometimes weekly show where we relive forgotten and unforgettable movies that once lined the shelves of video stores everywhere. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Joseph.
And today we're packing up and headed west to Arizona because silver has been discovered there, and there are some cottages coming up for rent in a little mining town called Tombstone, full of sash-wearing cowboys, opium-addicted women, and no law. Join us as we lay it down in Tombstone from 1993. So sit back, relax, and welcome.
Welcome to the Cafe 80s, where it's always morning in America, even in the afternoon.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. I have the only gun on board. Welcome to Con Air.
Welcome to Jurassic Park.
Okay, good evening, America, and welcome aboard Apollo 13.
I'm so glad you could come. This is going to be such an exciting day. I hope you're enjoying it. I think you will.
Episode 20, man.
It's hard to believe.
It's hard to believe.
20 episodes in. And that's not even including Patreon exclusive episodes over on Patreon. If you're not a patron, you should go check it out on patreon.com/VericonVideo. Joseph, tell me about this movie. What's your relationship to it?
Yeah, so this movie has definitely been always has been one of my favorites. I first watched it back in middle school. It was a requirement for a history class I was taking, and I was like, Tombstone must be similar to John Wayne, shooting up some people with some pistols, a lot of the pew 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 sound effects, and people flying off of horses, and so I was like getting ready for it, and then all of a sudden it's damn the feels, right? So it was so much more than that, and just really, really appreciate the aspect of friendship, of brotherhood, of family with this movie, and just the whole fact that it's based on the true story and characters of what actually happened at the OK Corral. I really do think it's phenomenal. How about you?
Again, this was an HBO watch for me as a kid. It seems like everything we do on this show is like, oh, I saw that on HBO, not at the video store.
Shout out.
But it was always on, and it's probably my favorite Western, and that's a genre I don't really have a strong connection to. I mean, like you said, it's got a little bit of everything. There's lots of action. It's kind of witty. We've got a love story, and again, lots of really great relationships and friendships explored here. Years ago, when Red Dead Redemption came out, I went back to this movie and just had a blast with it all over again. I actually had a friend in grad school. We would quote this movie all the time at work, and we would refer to each other as music lover and loving man. And of course, it just baffled everybody else. They didn't really understand what was going on. But even when we would leave, we would do that little Ike Clanton. I'll see you soon. Soon.
I'm the Huckleberry.
That's just my game. But this is a classic for me, and I'm really, really glad that we're going to be talking about it today because, I mean, there's not a whole lot to unpack in this one, but it's so much fun. We got to talk about it. So let's give you guys a little bit of background, a little bit of context, what I was able to find on this movie. So it's directed by George P. Cosmatos, father of director Panos Cosmatos, and written by Kevin Yara?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yara. Who also began as a director of this movie before being replaced by Cosmatos. And what a cast. I mean, we've got Kurt Russell, Val Kilmer, Powers Booth, Bill Paxton, Sam Elliott, Dana Delaney, Michael Biehn, Billy Zane, Thomas Hayden Church, and Jason Priestley from 90210. Like, this is an all-star cast here. It was released theatrically on Christmas Day, 1993, made a lot of money, and for the Western genre, it ranks number 16 in the list of highest-grossing films since 1979.
Wow.
It was shot on location in Arizona, and the director was highly focused on accurate historical detail, and including the costumes, props, and you can see that in the film. Like, and it's very vibrant, like it's very colorful, like the clothes, the wardrobe, and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it seems like every Western, everybody's wearing muted colors, dusty. But this
dull and dusty, right? Yeah,
right.
It's flamboyant, you know?
Yeah, it is. I mean, look, Curly Bill, he wears a very bright red shirt in this movie, and I really like the costumes there. But anyway, moving on, the mustaches are all real. No spirit gummed mustaches in this movie. This was at the insistence of the director. Actually, Stephen Lang, who plays Ike Clanton, had told the director he was drunk for most of the filming. I believe that because he's in the movie, he's drunk all the time. So going for accuracy there. And I thought this was interesting. In an interview with True West magazine, this is October 2006, Kurt Russell admits that after the original director, Kevin Yarrow, was fired, he directed a majority of the picture.
Wow.
And that, according to Russell, Cosmatos served merely to make things run smoothly. I can't really find a clear answer to this, but there is a rumor out there that Cosmatos was kind of a ghost director for Kurt Russell, who actually directed the movie. Which sounds, conspiracy, right?
We shall never know.
Yeah, this is cool. The real Wyatt Earp became a consultant to the motion picture industry, advising on westerns after he moved to Hollywood in 1915. And John Wayne actually claimed to have met him once and modeled his walk after Earp's.
They even said at the end of the movie, a couple of big shot names in the Hollywood business attended Wyatt Earp's funeral as well.
Oh, yeah.
So it's good stuff.
Following its release in theaters, the film was released on VHS November 11th, 1994. And then later, a director's cut of Tombstone was released on DVD, which is the one that I have. It's a 2-disc set by Artisan. And the director's cut adds just a few scenes back into the movie. And I rewatched that version this morning, and I wouldn't miss any of that. Like I'll just stick with the theatrical cut. Funny thing about extended cuts, I watched an extended cut of Dumb and Dumber a few days ago.
Oh my gosh! Oh jeez.
and
How was that?
It was interesting because I've seen that movie so many times that I could catch what was new. I'm glad they cut that stuff. It's just it doesn't add anything to the movie. In fact, it's kind of cringeworthy at times.
Oh man!
So, if any of you out there are thinking of buying the extended cut of Dumb and Dumber, you can just save your money. Just buy just the theatrical cut. It's totally fine.
Or just prepare yourselves. Either one. Yeah.
And if you have that, or if you've watched it, I'm really curious what you think about some of those scenes added back in. There's a lot of extremely homophobic stuff that they have in there. All right, Joseph, you ready to begin this Wild West adventure?
Oh, Brandon, I'm your Uncle Barry.
All right, let's saddle up.
And now, our feature presentation.
So we open in 1879. We get a little bit of intro narration by Robert Mitchum, giving us a little context for the movie. Then we arrive in Mexico for this wedding. This couple comes running out, only to be met by the cowboys, this gang run by Curly Bill Brocious. And
this was quite sad. Just this couple just happily married, and then all of a sudden, let's get out our pistols.
Yeah, they completely crashed the party, and the reason that they're there, Curly Bill walks up and throws these red sashes at the guy and says, "You killed 2 cowboys," and that's how you know that those are the cowboys, because they all wear the red sashes. And then everybody's gunned down. It's just chaos. And then we see Johnny Ringo, played by Michael Biehn. He's just kind of watching all of this chaos throw down, and then after you think everybody's dead, the only person still alive is the priest, and Johnny immediately pulls his gun and blows the guy away, and it kind of catches everybody off guard, and then they just start laughing.
Yeah. It's like, oh well.
And they arrive just in time because there's this wedding feast that's like the table is already set, and so Curly Bill's just like, let's eat. But yeah, so the priest says something about Revelations, and Johnny translates as, behold a pale horse, and the man that sat upon him was death, and hell followed with him.
Wow.
And he's just kind of sitting there chewing on that. Like, you can tell he's really mulling that over. Then I think we get the title card. Then we're off.
Yep. And it presents a nice little foreshadowing too. Just really brings the preset of the movie very well. So.
Right. Yeah, because we even get that language about, Doc calls it a reckoning.
Right.
And At one point, Wyatt tells the cowboys that, Hal's coming with me, you hear? Hal's coming with me. Kurt Russell, man, I just love him in this movie. He is just such a well-rounded character.
He really got into his role well. You could tell easily. And in the whole entire movie, he just was spot on.
Oh, yeah. And that mustache.
Oh, I know.
That is the thickest mustache I've ever seen in my life. And it's so perfectly shaped and everything.
It's so perfectly and not even mentioning Sam Elliott's bushiness. The man emphasizes bushiness very well.
I'm not convinced that Sam Elliott has lips because I've never seen them.
It's debatable.
It's like a walrus or something. It's
just there. Even in his film Gettysburg, he still had the same exact kind of feature, and I'm just like, how can you kiss ladies, dude?
Yeah, that's a good point. I think it would be impossible.
Yeah,
we would have to ask him.
Humanly possible. Yeah.
And so we meet Wyatt Earp for the first time as he's getting off this train. He's arriving in Arizona. And he sees this guy with this horse, and he's trying to pull it off. Is it on the train?
It's on the train. Yeah, it's on the train.
He's pulling the rope, and the horse isn't budging, and the guy just starts beating it with this rope. Wyatt intervenes and takes the rope from him and just beats the guy with it. Hurts, doesn't it? Well, at least in the Wild West, we can rest assured that Wyatt Earp was not a fan of animal violence and animal cruelty.
Right. Takes those shit.
Oh, shit. Taken. This U.S. Marshal approaches him and is, like most people in this movie, are trying to offer him a job because he has made a name for himself as a peacemaker out in Kansas. But Wyatt's not going to listen to him. He said, I'm retired, going to Tombstone. And the guy's like, oh, so you're going to go strike it rich. Did you ever meet a rich man who didn't have a guilty conscience? He's like, I already got a guilty conscience. Might as well have the money, too. I was like, yeah, that's a badass line.
It's pretty true.
It's a badassery. So then we meet the other Earp brothers, Virgil and Morgan, and they're accompanied by their wives, Allie and Louisa, and Wyatt's wife, Maddie. She's a character, man. She's immediately looking for a laudanum. She's wanting a fix. She's bonkers.
She's very bonkers. Loose cannon 101.
Yeah. So they all stand together in front of this storefront window, and they're just pretty as a picture. They're very well lit, and they're just savoring the moment. I think even at one point Morgan starts talking, and Wyatt's like, just shut up and just let's enjoy this. And it does kind of establish like how close they are, and makes it even more devastating as the events of the movie unfold.
Right.
Louisa, I can't remember. I think that's Virgil's wife, Lou. They call her. She heard Maddie ask about finding a store with laudanum, and she's like, "Oh, I've got a bottle." And when Maddie takes it, she's like, "Oh yeah, I just get headaches sometimes." Sure, you do.
Sure.
So laudanum that's derived from opium, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's straight from opium.
Also includes morphine and codeine, and was sold without a prescription until the early 20th century.
Wow.
It remains available by prescription in the U.S.
Who would have thought?
Although, and I quote, this is from Wikipedia, although the drug's therapeutic indications are generally confined to controlling diarrhea, alleviating pain, and easing withdrawal symptoms in infants born to mothers addicted to heroin or other opioids.
Wow. Jeez, man.
So it's still around.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So we meet Doc Holliday, played by the wonderful Val Kilmer, who really shines in this role. This is probably my favorite movie of his.
Oh, yeah.
So he's playing cards with this guy, Ed Bailey, who's played by Frank Stallone, Sly's brother. And it's like, 500. Must be a peach of a hand. And then we meet his lover, Kate, who comes over. He's like, oh, Kate, you're not wearing a bustle. How lewd. Just that delivery. Hallowed.
It's just perfect.
I know. And I found out that Willem Dafoe was the original choice to play Doc Holliday, but Buena Vista refused to distribute the film if he was cast because he was in that controversial The Last Temptation of Christ. And so,
Man.
but I can't see it any other way. Like it's Val Kilmer.
It's Val Kilmer. Yeah.
I think even in that Wyatt Earp movie in the 90s that Kevin Costner was in, Doc Holliday was played by Dennis Quaid. And I didn't see all that movie, but after you've seen Tombstone, there's no comparison. There's
just not. It's just so iconic. No discredit to Johnny Depp here, but there's only one Willy Wonka, you know. and when you see a movie such as this, you're just like, they are that character.
Right,
you know,
right.
Because of how well of a job they did. So.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, let's see, this was 93, because this wasn't like his breakout role, but I mean, he was in a ton of stuff before then. But I hate going to IMDb now because there's so many like ads and stuff.
Yeah. He was Top Gun.
Yeah. Good old Top Gun. Oh, he hadn't done a whole lot before that even. So yeah, 86 was Top Gun, and then Real Genius was the year before that. And then Top Secret in 84, Willow.
Yes.
Was pretty big for him. And he played Jim Morrison in The Doors. He was in True Romance. But yeah, I mean, I guess until then, like he hadn't done like a really big movie. Oh, and then just a couple years later, Batman Forever.
Yeah, man.
And then Heat. Oh man, Michael Mann's Heat
that was a good one.
That's a fantastic movie. I'd love to do that one on the show. It's so long, but it's really, really good. But yeah, wow. So Val Kilmer as Doc Holliday, he is playing cards and he has this confrontation with Ed Bailey. They have a nice little exchange here where Doc tells him, does this mean we're not friends anymore? Ed, if I thought you weren't my friend, I just don't think I could bear it. So he comes at him. I keep wanting to call him Val, but Doc stabs him in the gut with a knife. And meanwhile, Kate starts bagging all this money. And so they're just going to rob the place.
Yeah.
I like how Kate pulls a gun on the bartender. It's like, touch that gun, I'll burn you down. It's like, damn.
Oh, and bitch going at him. Then they grab the cash on the way out on the counter too.
Yeah. It's just like, oh, there's some more money. I'll just take that too. And Doc just spins around and tells everybody, well, good evening, man. And it's that wow.
I know, right?
It gets me every time. It's so funny. So Doc leaves with Kate, and they're leaving town. Then we see the Earps, and they're on their way to Arizona as well. And I love the cinematography here. Really nice use of the widescreen format. And so they arrive in Tombstone. And now when the Earps first get there, you can see in the lower left part of the screen in the cemetery, there's a grave marker that says, "Here lies Lester Moore, 4 slugs from a 44, no less, no more." And there is reportedly an actual tombstone in Tombstone that has that epitaph.
Wow.
And now we meet Sheriff John Behan, this charming man of many parts. He's not only sheriff, he's on the fire brigade and tax collector, town law commission.
Everything, basically.
Yeah, especially for such a small little town. So he's got his fingers in all the pies. And so he approaches the Earps and finds out they're going into business. He says, well, I'm the man to see. And, you're looking for a place to stay? Yeah, we got some cottages opening up, and I'll even throw in a good cleaning for you. No charge.
I wonder how much a cleaning would have cost back then.
I don't know.
5 cents.
If that. One thing I do like about this is it's something about Wyatt's character when Behan asks if they have a place to stay. He's like, nope, as I said, we just got here.
Well, I mean, but he says a lot of things that are demanding, but in a less aggressive way. Like,
yeah.
So it's just like, that he's coming on strong, but he's not like throwing punches.
Right. It's not really sarcasm, but it's just direct, I guess.
Yeah. It's like direct humor, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and he plays it so straight too.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
So we meet Fred White, the town marshal, played by Harry Carey Jr., and he's telling the Earps that unfortunately the cowboys are screwing up their little town, but they're good for business. Everywhere's doing pretty well except for the Orientals. This bar with a faro table. White says it's pretty much a slaughterhouse. And then we just see Wyatt looking at it, and he sees an opportunity, and he just starts walking into the place. And Virgil's like, there he goes.
Oh, Wyatt.
Oh, Wyatt. So then we're meeting a lot of people here. So we meet Milt Joyce. He's the owner-operator of the Oriental. Wyatt introduces himself. And Milt's like, yeah, sure.
Whatever you say, pal.
Yeah. And then we hear all this commotion off screen, and there's a game going on. I think they're playing faro or poker. And it's Billy Bob Thornton as Johnny Tyler. And his lines in this scene were ad-libbed. He was only told to be a bully.
This is fantastic.
And it's great. It's probably my favorite part of the movie. And he has
some bitch.
Lay down a queen again, you son of a bitch. I'll blow you right up that Wildcat's ass. Christ almighty, it's like I'm playing cards with my brother's kids or something. You nerve-wracking sons of bitches. I've never experienced like somebody make profanity sound so funny.
I know, right?
Billy Bob and probably George Carlin. Oh, you right up that Wildcat's ass. I mean, just the fact that to be able to improvise those insults is very impressive.
Oh, I know. It's beautiful.
It's very much his flavor too. Like it fits him really well. But he makes a comment here, and there's something about this movie I didn't notice before until I watched it with subtitles. Just all the lingo, like the vocabulary is very different. And so like when they talk about going healed, so he says to Wyatt as he approaches the table, Johnny Tyler says, for a man who don't go healed, you run your mouth kind of reckless, don't you? So going healed is to carry a gun. And I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
I had to look that up. No need to go healed to get the bulge on a tub like you. Is the response. Wyatt does his little intimidation tactic because Tyler's about to pull his gun. He's like, go ahead, skin it. Skin that smoke wagon and see what happens. Skin that smoke wagon. I love that.
Like literally, my dad was quoting this whole thing. Like
really,
literally, but like before Wyatt walks over, and my dad's like, he's about to skin the smoke wagon. Oh my gosh, shut up.
It's a very quotable movie.
Oh, yes.
So he kicks Johnny Tyler out. He grabs him by the ear, and he calls him a youngster, which I think is kind of funny. He's all right, youngster, out you go. After he like slapped him and embarrassed him. So after he kicks him out, he pretty much says to Milt that, hey, I'm going to deal at your table now. I'm going to replace Johnny Tyler. And then shortly after, Johnny Tyler comes back with a shotgun. And before he's able to shoot Wyatt, Doc shows up in a very classy introduction. But I loved him just when Wyatt looks at him and he's got a cigar. He's like, well, how the hell are you? Wyatt, I am rolling. And so they have this little reunion party. And meanwhile, Johnny Tyler is just standing there. And when he hears it's Wyatt Earp, they just keep talking. And Doc's like, oh, Johnny, I apologize. I forgot you were there. You may go now.
Jeez.
Oh, it's great.
Man.
Then Behan strolls up with his little walking stick, looking all Cosmo. He's like, oh, Sheriff Behan, have you met Doc Holliday? Piss on you, Wyatt. And I like this little move that Behan makes. It's like, Mr. Holliday. He tosses his cane to his left hand and offers his right. And Doc just says, forgive me if I don't shake hands. But Behan goes on this little thing that, oh, we're going to be as big as San Francisco in a few years. And Doc's like, oh, it's just another mining camp. And there's a little bit of commotion. There's we see these two gunmen come out. It's Creek Johnson and Texas Jack Vermillion, who I guess killed a guy because he crawfished a vet and called him one of them a liar.
The usual out west kind of conflicts that happen over some type of argument. Let's kill a guy because
just imagine. I mean, even in a town where there's little law, I mean, just like you get into an argument with somebody over poker or something, you just shoot them, and it's just okay. Well, that sucks for that guy,
right?
It's no big deal. So on the stagecoach, we have Billy Zane arriving. He steps out. He plays Mr. Fabian, and he helps Josephine Marcus, played by Dana Delaney, out of the carriage. And she sees Wyatt from afar and says, "I want one." She's smitten already. I want to say Dr. Fabian.
I know, right?
Mr. Fabian. Dr. Fabian just sounds like a supervillain or something.
Yeah. Dr. Fabian.
Him again. To the Batmobile.
Yeah.
So he tells her happy hunting. And now we're at the Birdcage Theater, and we meet Jason Priestley, who plays Billy something. There are like 4 Billies in this movie. I can't keep up with them all.
It's crazy.
And they call him, like the cowboys, they're on the ground level. They keep calling him Sister Boy. Say there, Sister Boy, give me some.
Meanwhile, people are spitting into cans.
Yeah, they've got their spittoons there, and there's just a rambunctious crowd. And Curly Bill's there, and he's like, Billy, sit with me. Then the show begins. Well, first we have Maddie and Wyatt and Doc and Kate. They're up in they have like box seats. The mayor comes along, played by Terry O'Quinn, who was probably better known for Lost.
Yes.
And I actually saw him yesterday in The Stepfather. So the first act is Professor Gilman. He catches stuff. That's how they describe him. He's about to juggle. So he's about to toss up the first pin. And then Barnes, one of the other cowboys pops up and says, "Hey, Professor, catch this," and shoots the pin and it explodes. And he runs off. They're shooting at us. And then,
but the show goes on.
The show goes on. We get the next act immediately, and it's Mr. Fabian doing the St. Crispin's Day speech from Henry V by Shakespeare. And I love it. He walks. He when he comes on stage, kind of discreetly kicks away some of the debris from the pin, and he's got this cape on. He throws it off like Frankenfurter, and they're like, "Woo! Prettiest man I ever saw." And Billy's there looking at him, kind of in awe as he starts to do his speech. And everybody's kind of into it. Like it has all of these cowboys attentive and listening. And then after it's over, they're just like, "Yeah, that was fucking awesome."
Pistols flying, shooting everywhere.
Yeah, they're shooting their pistols and cheering. The last act. This was a short show, by the way.
Yeah.
Going out to the theater. It's been 5 minutes. So we get this silent Faust performance, and somebody's making a deal with the devil, and we get this lovely piece of music. I can't remember what it's called. It's a very popular piece, but we can even see kind of the behind the scenes. There's a guy with a bottle of liquor, and he's moving it in front of the lights.
That was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It's kind of have that fire effect. And so after it's over, Doc takes a drink and he's like, "Oh, very instructive." His wit is really defined for me. Like you can really tell how he is as a person. Like his sense of humor and his approach to life. This not wildness, but carefree, living dangerously.
Right. I mean, he's confident. And he's even at his lowest, he was at his peak.
Mm-hmm.
And for that to be that's got to be of some magnitude, know, and just how he smooth talked his way into greatness. Really,
he is, yeah, and as we'll see later, an incredibly loyal person too.
Yes,
and who has very defined values about friendship, as we'll later find out. But as the show wraps up, we see Josephine Marcus was the devil. She pulls her mask off, lets her hair down, and Wyatt is mesmerized by her. It's gonna be damned. And Doc leans over and he's like, "You may indeed if you get lucky."
Yeah.
And Maddie kind of catches that look or that exchange and dismisses it, but already there's a red flag for her.
AKA, let me drink more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she just can't wait to get home to get that fix, man. Now, Val Kilmer has been quoted as saying that the screenwriter insisted that the actors wear real wool costumes in accordance with the time period. So in this Birdcage theater scene, he says that at one point he remembers seeing a thermostat reading 134 degrees Fahrenheit. And he joke that this is why Doc killed so many people. It's just, he said, quote, "It's just like he wore wool in the summer in the Arizona territory, and that made him mad." 134 degrees. That's crazy.
Oh, that's yeah.
I mean, I could imagine like in real life, like having to wear, because they've got on a lot of clothes and they're out there, and there's a telling how hot it is. So after they leave the theater, they're having a little walk and talk, the Earps and their wives, and Morgan, it's like, oh, he wants to have this God talk, and wants to know, what do you think happens when you die? I love it. Virgil's like, oh God, here he goes again. Yeah. Because Morgan's like, well, I've been reading this book. It's a book on spiritualism. And they say that when you die, that you see a light, and it's the light leading you to heaven. And Wyatt's like, well, what about hell? They got a sign there or what? I said, why? God damn it. So Wyatt says he's got to go to work. So he tells his addict wife that, he questions her about the bottle of laudanum she has, like if that's the same one that she got from Lou.
She gets defensive about it too.
Oh, yeah. She's very defensive, just like an addict would. And it's like, it's just headaches. She wants him to stay with her, but he's like, I got to go to work. And she's like, okay, well, it's fine. He's like, oh, well, no, wait a minute. I don't have to go right now. I can stay for a little bit. And she's like, no, just go.
Just go.
And he's trying to soften it as she leaves, because he's like, oh, you look beautiful tonight. She's like, thank you.
I know I am beautiful, but whatever.
And you could just tell in her face, like, she is a mess. Like she is.
Oh yeah.
just unraveling, I think, at this point.
And why it just feels so uncomfortable. You can just see the uncomfortable aspect in his face just being around her.
You can't see, or you can't point to any one time where you say, oh, they're in love.
Right.
Because whenever they're around each other, they're kind of doing their own thing. Like they're never affectionate towards each other or even really talk to each other.
Right.
So it's almost like Maddie sees herself as baggage, or she's just tagging along, relocating to Arizona. So I think she just feels really vulnerable and is just trying to get lost in the bottle, and he's not giving her that attention. So Wyatt heads off to the faro table at the Oriental. He's racking up. Doc asks him if Wyatt considers himself a married man, and it's like, well, what would you do if she walked in here? It's like, who? You know damn well who. That dusky-hued lady, Satan. He said, I'd probably ignore her. It's like, I remember you said that. And of course, she walks in, the great fanfare.
And he totally blows her off.
Yeah, like she's dancing with everybody and trading partners. And then when she comes to him, he just turns away. She's hurt, but Doc's like, stand corrected. And you are an oak. So then Behan sees his opportunity. He's moving in on Miss Marcus. And then Mr. Fabian arrives to great applause. The cowboys, they're all moving into the Oriental. Billy, Jason Priestley's character, stops Mr. Fabian and it's like, oh, Mr. Fabian, would you sit at my table? He's a fan, but there's a little something else there too.
Yeah.
So he's interested in him. So as the cowboys approach Wyatt's table, we get Ike Clanton, played by Stephen Lang, who's been in a ton of stuff. He was in that, was it Lights Out most recently?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
And in Avatar, he was in Avatar.
Avatar, he was really good in Avatar.
Yeah, he's very good. He's a very versatile actor. He was great in, there was this movie I used to watch a lot for some reason called Fire Down Below with Steven Seagal, and he was in that as well. And Manhunter, he was Freddie Lowndes in that. It was really good. But so he shows up and he's like, listen now, Mr. Kansas Law Dog. Law don't go around here. Savvy? And some Curly Bill's there too with Johnny Ringo. But the Earps are not intimidated. Ike just keeps going. He's like, yeah, that's real good. Oh, guess what? Because Wyatt says he's retired.
Right.
And Ike's like, well, that's good. That's real good, Law Dog. Law don't go around here. And he's like, yeah, I heard you the first time.
I almost wanted Ike to say, you're not in Kansas anymore.
You're not in Kansas. That would have been great. I would have appreciated just because it wouldn't make sense because because the Wizard of Oz wouldn't come out till much later. But I would just It might have been a little too much, but I
it would have been just so unnecessarily perfect.
I like that phrase, unnecessarily perfect. Oh, so shit, where are we? So Ringo and Doc, they start talking. You must be Doc Holliday. So, that's the rumor. You retired too? Not me. I'm in my prime. Yeah, you look it. It does look pretty bad. He is absolutely sweating this entire movie.
Yes,
He's pale. His eyes are pink around the.
It was just so bad, and he died at the age of 32. Yeah, like
wow. Because he had what, tuberculosis?
Yeah, TB. Yeah,
yeah. So and they call him a lunger,
right?
So it was kind of like common, or much more common back then. I mean, they had specialized hospitals around that period too, that just dealt with tuberculosis. So Ringo and Doc, they have a little show off moment here where Ringo does his little pistol tricks, and then Doc mocks him with his little. He's got this little tiny cup, this little metal cup that he used, and he's twirling around.
Everyone's laughing.
Yeah, and it really eases the tension. Like you can even see it on Morgan's face because it gets a little tense because Ringo is pointing a gun at Doc's face, and a lot of the cowboys are there. Wyatt has a shotgun under the table. It's ready to go. He's ready to blast away. But just having Doc do his little twirling cup trick, you can just see the tension ease a little bit, and the cowboys are like, okay, that's cute. But so Curly Bill's got some winnings. So he tosses up the money and he's like, oh, drinks are on me. We see Morgan give this look. He's alarmed by it. And I wonder what that is. If it's just like the Cowboys are trying to get into the good graces of the Tombstonians.
I think that's what that was about. So
Behan is with Miss Marcus, and she's got her eyes on Wyatt. She's like, who's that guy? It's like, oh, that's Wyatt Earp. He made a name for himself as a peace officer in Kansas. And I believe he's married.
She still looks at him like, I'm still going to go after him.
I know. It's just a way of him saying, well, don't even think about him. Focus on me.
Yeah, just look at me.
Look at me. More champagne. So Wyatt, the next day, he goes out riding, and he just happens upon Josephine Marcus, who's out on a ride. What a coinky dink. She's dressed to the nines. She's got this fancy hat and everything. It doesn't even, I don't know. There's just no practicality to what she's wearing since she's riding on horseback.
In the desert, basically.
In the desert. Like they're in this one little patch of a forest that they run through. She says, oh, this is fortuitous. That means lucky. It's like, yeah, I know what it means. I love that.
I'm well educated.
Yeah. It does. It already suggests something about her status or her privilege, and that assuming that he's this brutish retired lawman who is probably uneducated, and so he's like, "Oh, the horses, they're in season or something." And he's like, "Well, we should probably break them up." She's like, "Oh, well, I've got a better idea. Let's ride it out of him." He's like, "Yeah, I'm an oak, all right." And takes off with her. And so they run at full speed with their horses a few times. And then when they come to have a rest, I never caught this before, but the horses are kind of nuzzling each other. Like they're in love. Horsey love. And she's asking him all these really weird questions.
Really deep questions.
Really deep questions. You just met this guy.
Right.
And starts asking him, are you happy? And makes a comment about his laughter. It's like, yeah, I'm happy. I don't laugh all day long like an idiot. If that's what you mean. So just lots and lots of questions. And what's your idea of heaven and all of that? Wyatt says that what suits him is having a wife and kids, settling down. And she's quite the opposite. She's like, I just want to have fun and travel and live on room service. She's like, I don't have time to be proper. Okay.
Okay. All right. And then Wyatt just like, apparently that just beams the glow in his eyes, and he's just like, you're different.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And he's really drawn to that. And he's not only mesmerized, but something even deeper than that. Like, you can read it on his face. Like, he's so enamored by her that she says something like, well, if that doesn't make me a lady, blah, blah, blah. It's like, oh, you're a lady, and I would take an oath on it or something like that.
Right.
And she's flattered, but yeah, just his eyes, like he's just glowing.
Yeah. the Carolina blue in his eyes just become his just blue Duke blue, and it's just like, I'm coming after you, woman.
And so when he gets home, Maddie's there, and she's got her opium. She's like trying to put it away real quick so he doesn't see it. And so she's in bed. Of course, she's like, what have you been doing? He's like, oh, I'm just out riding. It's like, how are you feeling, Maddie? And she just bursts out laughing. She's so hysterical. She's like, I don't know. And so he sits down, and I guess he's been mulling it over, like thinking about what he wants out of life. Like he said, he wanted to settle down, have a wife and kids. But this other idea has been presented to him, this alternative of being nomadic and being more free-spirited and being open to new experiences. And so he talks to Maddie about that. Says, what do you think about moving around and seeing the world? But she's just like, what are you talking about? And he just dismisses it. It's like, oh, nothing. No, never mind.
He even mentions room service.
He does, yeah. He's like, let's live on room service for a while.
Then she starts to correct, like, room service.
Yeah, like, what are you talking about? And so I thought that was really interesting, like just like how quickly his mind changed, or how quickly he was warming up to entertaining that idea, and I guess to really question like what he wants. I don't think he's really thought about it all that much. So Doc is at the piano playing Frederick fucking Chopin.
I was about to say that. That was a beautiful line.
Because he's Thomas Hayden Church's character. I think he's a Billy as well. Drunkenly trying to make conversation with him, asking if he plays like Stephen Foster or something like that. Stephen Stinkin' Foster. That's well, this is a nocturne. Frederick fucking Chopin. It's great. But then next we see Curly Bill. He's leaving this opium den high as a kite. He leaves and he throws his arms up into the night and says, I just feel capital. And then just starts shooting up the town, pulls out his revolvers. He's going at it. And I didn't count the bullets, but I feel like it was a little more than 12 bullets fired in this shot.
Yeah.
So hearing the commotion, we see there's some dissent because they're trying to figure out what to do about it or who's going to take responsibility for it.
Right. And of course, Behan's like, I'm too cute for this. This is not my job, even though it is, but I'm a bigger part of this town than crime.
He tells the mayor, he's like, oh, this is not a county matter. It's a town matter. And so the marshal needs to take care of it. So Fred White's like, all right, well, I'll have to take care of it. Something needs to be done. So he goes out there to disarm Curly Bill, and Curly Bill takes his guns and he's holding them in such a way it looks like he's about to hand them over. But as Fred holsters his weapon to take these, he gets shot. And there's a shot of Curly Bill where on his face you can tell it's intentional,
right?
But it looks like an accident. In the movie, Curly Bill is not charged with the murder of Fred White, as there was no witnesses to the shooting. But in real life, charges were not filed because prior to his death, Marshall White explained that the shooting was an accident.
Wow!
So a little tidbit of trivia there. So Wyatt decides to intervene. He snags the drunken high Curly Bill. Then Ike comes over and he's like, turn him loose. And as he walks closer, Wyatt pulls that hand cannon out and sticks it to his forehead and says something like, you might rush me, but not before I turn your head into a canoe.
Oh, and like Ike is scared out of his wits.
Oh, yeah. He's such a coward. Like he talks a big game, but when it comes down to it, he's such a coward. He's like, oh, let's rush him. He's bluffing. He's no, he ain't bluffing. I'm going now. Get back. And so they start backing off and easing off. Then Doc gets involved, and Behan's just watching with Josephine. It's like, oh, well, yeah, as you can see, never a dull moment. Just
what a
useless.
Yeah, dimwit.
The next day, the Earps are playing billiards, and they're talking about opening up their own place and make another fortune. But you can see that Virgil, he's not really participating in the conversation. He's got other things on his mind, but Morgan's eating it up. He's like, oh, it's working out just like you said, Wyatt. So it was ultimately Wyatt's decision to bring all the Earps there and convinced them that they were going to, make a lot of money and live high on the hog on room service.
Now, fun fact here. Newton Earp, I looked this up during the movie last night, but Newton Earp was the oldest of the 5 brothers, and Warren Earp was the youngest, and he came to town right during the events of when Morgan was shot. So just a little timeline events. So the middle 3 were the ones that, just like this movie presents, were the ones that experienced all this. And Newton was off doing great things out east in the big cities, and Warren was coming into town right when this happened. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that there were 5 brothers. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be really interested in the actual history of Tombstone, and not just the OK Corral, but just the events leading up to it and about the cowboys and stuff. And I need to go back and read up on that stuff. It's pretty interesting. And so the mayor stops by as they're playing billiards and is pretty much trying to get them to restore order to their little town, but they're not interested. And I like that he turns to Virgil. It's kind of like a last stitch effort. He said, "What about you? You were a lawman." He's like, "I'm busy." We're all busy. So they said, "Oh, you're barking up the wrong tree." And so he leaves, and Virgil saves this boy from being trampled by horses.
Yeah.
Rescues the boy, meets the mother. I mean, it's a silent exchange, but she has a scar on her face.
What was the context for this scene, though? I remember seeing it, but I don't remember the importance of...
I think it's after the mayor leaves, then Virgil's walking home or something, and just happens to come across that boy about to get trampled to death, pulls him out of the street. But looking at the boy and looking at the mother, I think he saw, there were victims here. There were people who were terrified.
That makes sense, yeah.
Because of the occupation of the cowboys.
Right.
And so I think that was, I think in his mind, that's where he was already headed, was thinking about these things. But then this was the final nail in the coffin to say, okay, I got to do something about this because...
For him, yeah.
Yeah. And so he, I guess, comes out of retirement and is posting this ordinance, I guess, on the in the town. We're not saying you can't own a gun. We're not saying you can't carry a gun. All we're saying is you can't carry a gun in town. That's not so bad. There's an exchange here with Wyatt because he's pissed off. We should not get involved. But Virgil's like, we need to have some law and order. Morgan has also been sworn in, so he's got the badge. He said, "Hey, we're brothers. I had to back your brother's play." Wyatt says this is a big mistake. He turns in his gun belt. Meanwhile, at the Oriental, Josephine Marcus is there singing Red River Valley. Behan strolls up to Wyatt, who's just walked in. He's like, "Oh, what do you think of the singer?" Nice voice.
Yeah, that's about it.
But Doc's been going at it for 36 straight hours.
How do you do that? 36 straight hours just at the table.
Oh, I don't understand. I couldn't even stay awake that long.
Yeah.
Much less function. But he's rolling, man. He's racking up the money. So they're trying to tell him to just go home, and Doc says he's not going anywhere. Kate, the enabler, is just, "Oh, Doc could go all night and then some. My loving man. Here, have another drink, loving man." And Ike's there at the table, and he's like, "You, loving man, you're going to call or whatever." And so he loses, and he tells, Doc tells Ike, he said, I guess poker's not your game. I know. Let's have a spelling contest. Just the way he delivers it is perfect. It's so condescending. Ike blows up, and he and Verge get into it. And then in the process, Doc passes out. So Ike's about to go. He collects his guns from Milt, the bartender, and he's mouthing off. And Milt just says, "Oh, just go on home, Ike. Sleep it off." And he slaps the bartender. He's like, "I don't take no mouth from no bartender neither." Then as he's backing off, Virgil pistol whips him.
Well, during this scene, you think that Ike's just going to get his guns and walk out the store, And then all you see is just Verge just standing there. You're just like, oh, this is going to be great.
Yeah, I think you're just waiting for it.
Right.
And so let's see. Wyatt finds Maddie's opium bottles and a lot of them in the dresser drawer.
Mm-hmm.
Confronts her about it, and it's just like, "What's up with this?" And she's like, "I need it." Well, at least you can admit it.
Yeah. At least you're honest about something, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, because their entire relationship falls apart in this
Oh,
moment.
it's sad. It's so sad.
Because she's like, what's going on between you and that woman? Like, she's so jealous and so lonely. Like, she says that when I look in your eyes, like I see no love for me.
Right.
And so he says, I'm going to fix this, but it's clear that this has been broken for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, it was because I think the audience, they were just waiting for this to happen, you know? So because Wyatt, I think in this moment is finally free of stress, at least for now, from that part of his life.
Right. Story-wise, we need to get her out of the picture so that we can get
exactly
to get him together with Josephine Marcus, which I don't even like her that much as a character.
She's okay.
She's I would say pompous, but
she is no Margot Robbie.
No,
that's all I have to say.
She's just kind of like, I don't know, entitled, I guess. And
yeah,
I don't like that kind of attitude, or they're just a very material person. And I'm not to say that it's bad to want to go travel the world or whatever, or to fly by the seat of your pants, but I think just because she has that privilege to do that, it just puts her, I think, above other people. I don't know.
Her second to last line in this movie is literally, "My family's rich."
Yes. Yes.
It's so that sums it up.
And like when I watched this movie just for the podcast, I completely forgot that line was in there. And it really caught me off guard, because it's just, oh, well, don't worry about having a job or providing for me because my family's rich. It was very tacked on. And
it's just so blunt. It's so right there in your face. And you're just like, wait, what? And then all of a sudden you see him dancing and so you're like, oh, well, we'll just forget about what she just said. It's fine. They're going to have struggles. They're going to have family issues, but they're going to get through it. Okay. Like, I just want to believe that. I don't want to believe that they're just going to have it easy. And
and I mean, and it's possible she could develop an opium problem down the line.
Yeah, exactly.
And then Wyatt's stuck again. So Ike is freed from jail. He tells the Earps that they got a fight coming, and it's coming today. Meanwhile, we find Doc. He's not well. Kate is there with him, and
this scene.
No, because the doctor just tells him that you've got maybe 60% of your lung tissue remaining, maybe more, or maybe that's how much is gone. I can't remember.
Right. Yeah. It's how much is gone.
So, and Kate's like giving him a cigarette and a drink. Doc tells her that you're a good woman, but then again, you may be the Antichrist. I don't think I wrote it down because it might not be in the theatrical cut, but did you have a scene where Doc leaves her on horseback?
No.
Okay. It must have been just in the director's cut, but he leaves her like to go fight with the Earps, like when they go take down the cowboys. He says, like, he leaves her because he said that he makes some comment about that she wouldn't have a meal ticket anymore or something like that. So it was kind of implied that she was just a moocher, and kind of living off of gambling and stuff like that. I don't know. Maybe she is the Antichrist. So before the showdown at the OK Corral, Wyatt is sworn in. He puts on his long coat, gets his big hand cannon, and he shows. It's got like a 10-inch barrel. It's a massive gun.
It's amazing. It's like 4 cocks too. When he cocks it every time, it's just like, and you're just like, oh boy.
It's a heavy piece, man. So they're kind of gearing up for the showdown. Doc shows up, and everybody's watching. Wyatt tells Doc, you don't need to get involved in this. And he's like, that's a hell of a thing for you to say to me. He's like, all right, give him a gun. So he gets a shotgun, and off they go. The Earps and Doc. They approach the Claytons and McLaurys, who are... Now, as Weird Behan shows up here, he stops the Earps and says, let's go, you don't have to do anything. I just went over there and disarmed them.
Sure.
Yeah. Bullshit. Bullshit. And there's this great moment where like they're kind of squaring off, like they're getting like they haven't drawn guns yet, but they're getting close. Virgil's like, we're just here for your weapons. And then there's Doc looks at Billy, the Thomas Hayden Church character, and winks at him. And then there's just this, I don't know, this feeling like, oh, it's about to happen, because Wyatt's just like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. It's oh my God. Kurt Russell.
I know. Reportedly, this is choreographed exactly as it happened in real life, or at least how it was documented. Because there's even a moment at the end of the fight with the OK Corral where Doc says, of course they have to mow the damn place.
Jeez.
Yeah, sorry, they're mowing in my apartment, so we got to put up with that little background noise for a little bit. Sorry. But so the line quoted by Doc at the end of the fight at the OK Corral is historically true and was reported in the Tombstone papers. It reported the fight, and when confronted by one of these cowboys, he reportedly said, "I got you now, Doc, you son of a bitch." To which Doc gleefully retorted, "You're a daisy if you do." Before Morgan takes him out. It's a good gunfight.
Oh yeah.
Like even just like a few key moments, like where like Doc fires the shotgun in the air to scare the horses, and the guy falls off.
Right.
Or then when Doc, he's like he's shooting Thomas Hayden Church. Man, he's just pow, 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 pow. Like
he's lit up.
He's lit up. Yeah. Like he took great pleasure in killing that guy.
And then Ike, the coward.
Oh,
jeez, like,
yeah,
I don't have a gun. I don't have a gun.
Yeah,
then,
it's like, get in the fighter, go away.
Then it goes into the building and steals Behan's gun.
Yeah, it's like a little photography studio or something, and Behan's holed up in there with Josephine. Yeah, and he breaks out the window and he starts firing back. So Morgan and Virgil were wounded. Then Ike runs away. Behan shows up after it's all over and tells the Earps that they're all under arrest. And Wyatt's just like, I don't think I'll let you arrest us today, Behan, which is cool.
Yeah.
Because Behan looks a little intimidated. It's really weird. I mean, we don't really understand, at least at this point, like what Behan is involved in. I mean, we know he's involved in all the town matters, but we don't really understand like his connection to the cowboys.
Right.
Because later, as we'll see, like he saddles up with him. I don't know. That's something I need to think on some more.
Yeah, and well, it's just a kind of a sketchy attitude or vibe that we would feel about him right now, because it's just he's so flaunty, but he's so non-caring for anything that's happening in the town. So you're just like, what exactly is he, or what does he stand for? Or
no, I agree. I mean, it's like Fred White said that. The cowboys are good business for the town. And so, I mean, it would be in their best interest to keep them around and to not keep the law pretty loose. So I think maybe that's part of Behan's motivation. It looks good on him in a way. I mean, there's a lot more death and discord, but more, I guess, more profitability possibly.
Right.
So we're going to take a little break and we'll be back right after this.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
It's time to give some special shout outs to our patrons: Colin, James, Annette, Test Pattern, a horror movie podcast, Ryan M, Ryan S, Jonathan, Mondo, Pete, and of course those lovable boys over there at Random Movie Roulette, Lewis, Mike, and Jack. Thank you all so very much, you awesome monstrous kids, for your support and helping us keep this show going.
You all are the friggin' bomb.com guys.
But if you're not a patron and would like to learn how you can support the show for some cool perks, go to patreon.com/VaraconVideo for more information. $2 a month casual renters get a shout out on the show and a name check in the show notes and on our website. And $4 a month preferred renters get those perks plus a monthly bonus episode not available anywhere else, in addition to any other exclusive written and audio content. And now all patrons get their very own Varacon Video membership card. It's super cool. You show your friends. Be kinder on the rewinder and avoid late fees by becoming a patron today. And now back to the movie. I don't know, I'm waving my arms all around. I'm just like,
It's like, it's just an extra motivator, extra
it
enthusiastic motivator.
It is. Did I do that in class when I was in? Did I move my arms around a lot? You remember?
Twice. I counted. It was the first day of class when you were like introducing the class, and you were pointing to the screen on your docs of like the syllabus.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were talking about papyrus, your anger towards that font, you were just like, I can't stand this. And it was fantastic.
That was kind of a recurring theme in that class. Like
it was,
and I kept going back to papyrus and just how I hated it so much. Like, I remember even like I was on a road trip or something, and I took pictures of everything I saw in papyrus and showed it to the class. It's like, see, it's everywhere. Can't get away from it. And somebody in the class actually wrote a paper in papyrus.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's just,
Mm-hmm. I was like, oh, you're testing me. You're testing
the patience.
Yeah. Patience being tested here. So back in Tombstone, the dead cowboys are hauled off to the cemetery. They have this little procession at dusk, and they're carrying this big banner saying murdered in the street or something like that. And so next morning, Ringo is drunk, man. He's running around the town. He tells the Earps that I want your blood and I want your souls and I want them both right now. And Doc, he's very sharply dressed in this scene, looking spry. Yes. He pops out. Ringo says, have any of you got the guts to play for blood? And he's like, I'm your Huckleberry.
I'm your Huckleberry.
That's just my game. And I like how he's walking out with his pistol behind his back. Like he just looks very elegant. It's like,
so confident.
I know. This doesn't concern you longer. It's like, say when.
Yeah.
But the cowboys intervene and take Ringo away. Like, now's not the time. Get him later. It's, I want them spitting blood. Michael Biehn's great. His hair's all in his face. He's just a madman.
just Doc. Say when.
Say when. And then after the confrontation, he goes and says, he's like on a porch. He's like, he tells the bar, he's like, Barbara, proceed, sir. I guess like shaving him.
Yeah.
Barbara?
Barbara, proceed, sir.
So now it's a dark and stormy night in Tombstone. And all this lightning is real, by the way. So this is no animated.
Serious?
Yeah, no animated lightning here.
Oh my gosh!
And so they shot this like during monsoon season or something like that to get all of the sky shots. And so Behan and Josephine, I don't know what they're doing, but she's.
Side note: Johnny B. Like if you look all of these guys up, they all pop on Wikipedia or True West magazine stuff, and they tell you all about their life and what they were doing. So Sheriff John Harris Behan was sheriff of Cochise County in the Arizona Territory during the gunfight at the OK Corral and was best known for his opposition to the Earps. Ike Clan pops up, Virgil Earp, Josephine Earp. It's really cool.
Okay, I'll check that out. You said True West magazine and what else?
True West magazine, of course, Wikipedia, Spartacus Educational, the Tombstone News.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Sounds like a winner. So let's see. Behan and Josephine, they're hanging out, and there is some comment about nobody knows the real play like going on in Tombstone. But after tonight, there'll be one man in charge of Tombstone, and you'll be happy to know him. They don't really explore this very much. We don't really know what if there's some kind of corruption element there. We don't know. But we do know that he's dirty. Right? Like there's something he's keeping close to the chest. So Virgil, he leaves the Oriental. Meanwhile, Morgan is at the table. He's feeding this dog spaghetti. I never noticed it before, but it's so strange. And the wives are playing with tarot cards for some reason.
Yeah, whatever that's about.
Yeah. And then this guy bursts in with a shotgun and shoots the house up a little bit and then runs away. I mean, it's just to scare them, but
But still, one of them could have been shot, and that would have been pretty sad.
Yeah. And we don't know who this guy is. I can't really tell. I mean, it's one of the cowboys, but I couldn't really tell which one it was because he's got a coat around his head. So Virgil comes back and he's been shot. We don't see this happen. This happens off screen. He doesn't come in and say, "Hey, I've been shot." And he just comes and like leans against the wall a little bit.
And they just falls.
Yeah. So we find out, like, as they're trying to dig the bullet out, that Virgil's going to lose the use of his arm. And Wyatt goes out and he's confronted by McMasters. Sherman McMasters, I believe is his name. He is played by Michael Rooker, which most people probably know him from The Walking Dead or Henry, the Portrait of the Serial Killer, or Guardians of the Galaxy. I think he was in that. He tells Wyatt that, "I just want to let you know it wasn't me that scared your women. You know, I'm out." And he's riding with Creek Johnson and Texas Jack, and he tosses his sash on the ground and says, "You know, if you need us for anything, let us know." And they ride off. Megan. Oh, Morgan. It's like, who's Megan? In my notes, I have Megan shot in the back while playing pool.
I didn't even notice that.
A different movie. So yeah, Morgan, he's playing pool, and it's a great shot because whenever his pool cue hits the ball, that's when he's shot, and it's right on, like with the lightning and thunder. Yeah. So Wyatt reacts. He runs back into the place. He's bleeding out on the table. The doctor just can't get the bullet out. It's too deep. And it's just madness in there. There's this dog barking and shut the goddamn dog up, you know. Just and Morgan's wife is trying to get in. They're trying to keep her away, and it's just nuts.
It's chaos.
It is
chaos.
It is chaos. And so in that moment, they have this sweet little moment, him and Morgan. And Morgan just tells him, "Hey, you were right, and you know, don't let them get you, brother. You're the one." And you know what they said about that? Seeing that light before you die? It ain't true. I can't see a damn thing. And he dies.
Yeah, it was so sad. It was so sad. Like, because Morgan was like the little brother in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, and the wife was. They played that whole scene so well. Allie coming in, and then Wyatt Earp just looks at his hands, and he's like so hysterical.
Yeah,
you know,
because he literally has his brother's blood on his hands.
Right.
I mean, it's very clear that's what he's thinking about, is that, you know, I did this. Like, I caused all this. I brought them out here. We got involved, and this is how far it's gone. How much further will it go? And so he walks out into the rain with the blood on his hands. And I say rain in most places because in the shot, just maybe 20 feet behind Wyatt, it's not raining. So you see this entire expanse of the midway or whatever of the town, and there's just dry as a bone.
Yeah.
So
I
clearly,
guess that's what summer thunderstorms maybe.
And so the next morning, the Earps are packing up and they're leaving town. They pass the cowboys, and Wyatt stops and talks to Curly Bill. Just says, "I just want to let you know it's over." Curly Bill's just like, "Well, bye."
What a dick.
Bye. Curly Bill then tells Ike to take Stillwell and finish it. So the Earps, what's left of the Earps, board a train, but they're looking for Wyatt. The Cowboys are, and they didn't realize that Wyatt is actually not on the train. He's still behind, and he's ready with his shotgun. Blows Stillwell away, and of course Ike falls down, and he's, "Oh, don't kill me, don't kill me." He gets Ike, and he tells him what's up. He's like, "You see this?" And shows him his badge. That says he's United States Marshal. Something's gonna kill me, what? And he takes the spur on one of his boots and like cuts Ike's mouth. It's great. And he's just talking through all this blood. It's like talking about the Cowboys. "I see a red sash. I killed a man wearing it." He's just
he's
fire.
Blood red.
He's blood red. Yeah. "You tell him I'm coming, and Hal's coming with me. You hear? Hal's coming with me." He's just vicious, man.
He is. Yeah. It's like Doc said, it's a reckoning.
It is yes, it is absolutely a reckoning. And then we immediately get this montage of, so it's Texas Jack, Creek Johnson, McMasters, Wyatt, and Doc. Mm-hmm. So they're all this crew, this cleanup crew, just destroying cowboys. So it's just a lot of cowboy murder. And there's one of the scenes in the montage that I like is this, you see this guy, he's in an opium den, and he's like reaching for the pipe, but he is grabbing the barrel of the gun. Yes, the barrel of Wyatt's gun, and he puts it in his mouth, and you can hear him inhaling, and then it just pans up to Wyatt. When he pulls the trigger, like just the recoil, the force, and the enjoyment out of killing this guy is so palpable in just that half second before the shot cuts. So there's a battle with Curly Bill and the cowboys at this creek. Wyatt guns them down, and he just loses his mind at one point. He's just like, no.
Yeah. I was low key cracking up here. I mean, this is a great scene. The ambush. You got fire going all around. Then you have Wyatt. He gets his ass up and just starts walking in the water. But it's just Kurt Russell. If this was anybody else, I would have been just like, what's going on? But Kurt Russell, no.
He just keeps saying it. Keeps saying
no.
While he's murdering all these people. Yeah. And Curly Bill's in the tree line. He's like, oh, he's mine. And so he comes out, but waiting out in the water, and he just blows Curly Bill away. And
that was a great shotgun effect.
Yeah, it was.
Because you just see Curly Bill there in the water with that just the shotgun shells all across his chest. Yeah, it was a good scene.
Yeah, and with his red shirt and his hat like floating over his face and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's a cool shot. Somebody remarks to Doc, I think it's Texas Jack, said about Wyatt, said it's not revenge he's after. Doc says that it's a reckoning, and I'm helping him because he's my friend. And like you said, Joseph, Texas Jack's like, well, hell, I got lots of friends. Well, I don't. I don't. But just that loyalty, is I don't know. It's very admirable. Like you really get a sense of Doc as a person, not just like his like I said, his humor or his views on life, but I guess what kind of grounds him, and it's part of it is this established feelings about friendship.
Right. You know? It's in an environment where that doesn't go around a lot, with consistent violence on a daily basis. It just really brings, and especially for a man who gambles and who does everything that you don't think would be in his personality, he surprises you in the best way by being someone who's probably one of the most admirable guys in the movie.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He's not a scoundrel, but he's just I don't know. He's a very endearing type. You know,
right.
He's that kind of guy that you are probably going to want to be around.
Right. Very, very educated, marksman, witty, very witty. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely the life of the party type.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So in this next scene, we see Josephine in this carriage with Mr. Fabian. He's been shot and killed. Behan is there. She tells him, I don't understand it. And the cowboys tried to steal her watch or her purse or something.
Yeah.
And Fabian got in the way, protecting her. And she's just going on about, he was beautiful and he tried to bring something beautiful into your, ugly life and you shot him for it. And Billy is there, sister boy Billy. And and we get this, there's a shot of Mr. Fabian's hand and it's his hairy knuckles. But in this moment, I don't know. I really like how tastefully they did this. We don't know really what Billy's relationship with Mr. Fabian was, but there was some affection there.
Yeah, clearly.
So Billy grabs his hand before he leaves and he decides he's not going to go with the cowboys. And they're like, oh, that's fine. Let him go. So Wyatt and his crew, they spy the cowboys, 30 of them. Behan is with them. And he's riding out front with Ringo because Johnny Ringo is leading the outfit now. And they're all wearing badges.
Yeah.
And so.
What a coincidence.
Mm-hmm. So they make it to the Hooker Ranch not a literal hooker ranch. That's the man's name. That's the name they make it to the Bunny Ranch.
Duly noted.
Mr. Hooker is played by Charlton Heston in this tiny little role. And so they go there because Doc is sick and they need to put him up for the night. And then at some point, it might be the next day or later on that day, one of the cowboys drags, I guess McMasters had gone out and tried to reason with the cowboys or something. There's a deleted scene that's in the director's cut where McMasters goes and meets up with the cowboys and they have a confrontation, but they kill him and dragged his body over to the ranch. The guy says, get ready for a showdown, just you, Wyatt, and Ringo, and 7:00 tonight at this location. And he rides off. He's like, I'll be there. I'll be there. Wyatt and Duck, they chat about Ringo and says Johnny Ringo is the way he is because there's a big hole right in the middle of him and he just can't fill it with all the killing and stuff. And that he's kind of lashing out at the world because he needs revenge for being born.
Right.
Which that's heavy shit right there.
It's very, yeah. Probably one of the deepest scenes or lines in the movie.
Yeah. And it shows that like Doc really, I mean, not only is he very intelligent, but he understands this type of person. Like he is able to articulate that. And I don't know, you can tell he's very reflective and thoughtful and is able to put this personality in perspective. So Doc wants to go with him to fight Ringo, but he can't. He's too sick. But unbeknownst to Wyatt, Doc shows up in his place to square off with Johnny Ringo. He's like, the fight isn't with you, Blunger. So I beg to differ, sir. We had an arrangement we never got to finish, playing for blood. He's like, I was just fooling about. I wasn't. It's all right, Lunger. Let's do it. At first, he's a little put off. He's like, really? This guy's crazy. He's like, all right, let's do it. And so they circle around each other a little bit, and we get that say when.
Say when.
Get some really great extreme close-ups on their face and on their hands, their eyes. It's like Ringo didn't even have a chance.
No, he didn't. He didn't even get his gun out.
No, I know. That's what's so great. Like Doc, his quick draw, I mean, it's there, man. He pulls it out, shoots Ringo in the head, and he's already got his gun holstered.
Right.
It's smooth, and he's just taunting him. He's not dead. Ringo's still standing there, but his head's bleeding. He's like, come on, Johnny, come on. And he's just coughing. And as he's going down, Doc's like, oh, you're no Daisy. You're no Daisy at all. Wyatt shows up to see what's going on, and Doc says, well, I wasn't as sick as I made out. They say, let's finish this. And so we get another montage, killing more cowboys. And then here very sad scene. We're at the sanatorium with Doc, and he's being read his last rites.
Yeah.
Wyatt brings him, is it a card or like a little story?
It's the card. I think Wyatt wrote Doc a story about himself. Like basically the tales of Doc Holliday or the legend of Doc Holliday.
That makes sense. Yeah. Cause it says like for my friend Doc Holliday by Wyatt Earp. I remember that always really got to me because their friendship was just so well developed. And, cause Wyatt shows up and he's like, oh, all right, he gets the cards out. You've taken me for $17 and, where are we at this time? And how you feeling? And Doc's kind of, he knows his end is coming soon. So he says, I don't want to play anymore. And he shares this strange story about being in love once with his 15-year-old cousin and never wanting anything else, only wanting her. And I don't know, it's a little out of place maybe, but I don't know. What did you make of that?
I think that in this particular moment, it was appropriate. Maybe not earlier in the movie or actually anywhere else in the movie. But just with this, because he was dying and just giving himself the closure of his personal, intimate feelings. Because we don't see anything like that throughout the movie with Doc. It's more of just like what he can do to counteract the comments made against him from the Cowboys and stuff like that. So this is the first time we actually really see him open up about his personal life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was appropriate.
Yeah, it seems like it's a very peculiar way of him saying, like, I knew what I wanted at some time, but I never got it. Or
right.
You, Wyatt, have an opportunity to figure out what you want and live the life that you want. And, go find that actress and make her your own and, live for me, he says. And, there's no normal life, Wyatt. There's just life. And he's like, just say goodbye to me.
It's huge.
Because he said, if you ever, cared about me or ever had the slightest feeling for me, leave now. So Wyatt does. Doc is
now. It is said that Doc always thought he'd die with his boots on.
Yeah,
and that's why he looks at his feet here.
That is he said, I'll be damned. This is funny. Yeah, because back then it would be very rare for somebody to die with their boots off. You know, yeah. I guess that was amusing to him in that moment, his last moment. Yeah, isn't it his actual last words?
Yep, those were his last words. Yep. Yeah. A nurse was the one who reported that, who was with him when he died.
He dies, and then Wyatt shows up where Josephine is doing a show. I think it's Denver, wasn't it?
Yes. Yep.
And
Denver.
And it's snowing and everything. He goes into her dressing room and says something about, have you ever seen the sun coming up over the Rockies and blah, blah, blah. And I don't know. I don't have any money. I don't have anything to offer you, but I'll love you the rest of your life thing.
My family's rich.
I know. Oh my God. Yeah, it's like, you don't have to worry. My family's rich. It really caught me off guard. Like that was the one thing in the movie that was a little cringeworthy to me.
Yeah.
It's like, ooh, I would just do without that. We don't care. We know you're an actress and you've probably got money. You dress it like it all the time, so we can just assume that you're wealthy. And so he gets the girl. He takes her outside, and they dance in the snow. And that's it. That's the end of the movie. That's Tombstone.
Happily ever after.
We're hoping that she doesn't develop an opium problem, but you never know. Show business gets crazy. I apologize for all the noise, folks. Now someone's out there with a weed whacker.
Jeez.
It seems like whenever we record, that's when groundskeepers decide to show up.
Yeah, it's like every a calling. Time. It's a calling.
It's when I hit the record button, that sends a little ping out to groundskeepers. Oh, they're recording. We got to get out there and get your leaf blowers
for literally 2 hours.
Yeah, and then it stops.
Stops.
It's crazy. Final thoughts, value. What do you think, Joseph?
This movie will always be a classic. Always. It's more than just the time period with the post-Civil War Wild West or men shooting pistols at each other to get what they want. It's about family. It's about brotherhood. It's about friendship, getting through obstacles as a group rather than alone. The whole aspect of teamwork. And because honestly, I would have hated to be alone in that time period. And just to have a group of men with solid values, of solid principles, of a family is just, it's huge. To think about even today, but it's the classic acting of the characters. The phenomenal role of the actors in this movie is not to be underestimated because of how well this group did it, how they played the role to the best. It really could have been played with. The performances were phenomenal, and just seeing where all the actors went after this movie and the careers that they've had, and it's just, it's phenomenal work. How about you?
No, I totally agree. I mean, it's a very quotable movie because the dialogue and the acting are so good. And I agree with you that this will remain a classic, and it casts a very long shadow over that Wyatt Earp movie with Kevin Costner and other Westerns from the 90s. Despite there being some really great Westerns in the 90s, Quick and the Dead and Unforgiven come to mind. But with such a talented ensemble cast, I mean, like those obstacles that you mentioned are really heightened because of those relationships that play out on screen. Like the roles feel very lived in and fleshed out, and like no cookie cutter stilted portrayals in this movie.
Right.
And so I don't know if you guys out there haven't seen it or it's been a while, go check it out so we can quote it together.
And now, coming soon to video cassette.
So next time we're heading off to Woodsboro because there's a ghost-faced killer on the loose. So stay tuned next time for Scream from 1996. And also over on Patreon, if you haven't been there in a while, we have bonus episodes up for RoboCop, Jacob's Ladder, and What About Bob? And coming soon this month to Patreon, Twister.
Yes. Be on the lookout, you guys. Go check our stuff out.
Remember to rate and review the show on iTunes. And if you have questions or suggestions or just want to tell us what you think of the show, send us an email at vericconvideo@gmail.com or call us on the Vericon Video hotline at 312-620-5560. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Barricon Video. Well, guys, we hope you enjoyed today's show. We will see you again next time to chat about another exciting movie from the rental era. So long, everybody.
Peace out, guys.
Goodbye, Vietnam! That's right. I'm history. I'm out of here. I got the lucky ticket home, baby.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Jenny.
Bye-bye, boys.
Have fun storming the castle. Goodbye.
Do take good care of yourself.
What is this, your farewell speech? Going home. Have a good trip.
Hasta la vista, baby. I have to go.
Adieu. Auf Wiedersehen. Gesundheit.
Farewell.